Hello, I'm here today to present my report. I work for the Nicolins Group and more particularly for the company Suite Service as sales representative for large public accounts. First, a brief summary of what we will see today. In the first part, we will look at the internal analysis, the analysis of the cleaning market and some specificities of the market. Afterwards, I will explain the problem I choose followed by a little research before finishing with a conclusion. For the internal analysis, Suite Service offers all types of cleaning services and why to develop solid partnership with the customer in order to keep its market as long as possible. The company achieved more than 70% of its turnover through public or similar contracts. This highly competitive market required Suite Service to adopt a policy of price alignment but generate significant revenue. As we can see from the BCG matrix, star services are public assimilated markets such as SNCF or La Poste, which provide a large volume of work and slightly higher margin than public markets. The company involved only in B2B, and communicate with its customer through LinkedIn and its website. Communication is mainly through the group, which sponsor many sporting events and maintain a special link with the MHSC. Now we will analyze the industrial cleaning market. The industrial cleaning market is relatively mature, although they have been constantly evolving at more than 3% over the past 10 years. It's composed of more than 12,000 companies. The market is therefore divided according to the size of the company. Small structure focus on small local and regional markets, and the top 15 national markets share almost all of the large accounts or public markets. As we can see from the following graph, the larger the company are, the higher the share of turnover in public procurement. Concerning Suite Service, public contracts and large assimilated accounts represent more than 70% of the turnover. Over there, this market are acquired with margin rates between 3% and 5% and require significant material investments. As these contracts are for fixed periods between 3 and 5 years on average, this is also a significant risk for Suite Service in the event of non-renewal of the contract acquired. Now we will quickly see a pastel analysis of the markets. For the political part, the opening of some markets to competition, such as SNCF, forced company imposed the company to outsource cleaning services. For the economic part, we operate in a constantly evolving market that represents 13 billion euros. In another end, despite the constant evolution of the market, the price and margin of company do not change and remain stable. From social points, 84% of French people believe that cleanliness is an essential criterion in the workplace, which reflects the importance of the quality of services provided by agents. Over there, 44% of employees work less than 16 hours a week, which complicates their loyalty and force them to accumulate several jobs. For the technological part, connectivity in services and the development of robotization make it possible to make the step more profitable and improve cleaning rates will reducing the difficulty of salaries. Over there, these connected machines and projects represent significant investments. For the legal part, the constant increase of the minimum hourly rates represent a cost for companies. Since average sales price do not increase, these additional personnel costs are therefore borne solely by the company. Over there, some public contracts benefit from a 7% reduction in the wage bill. For the ecological part, the CSR approach is very important on the market. This point is developed just after. Now we will see the specificities of the market. First, as I told you earlier, the CSR approach is increasingly important for the award of public and corporate contracts, as customers are looking for a real partner to develop their own CSR approach and impose their supplier on the use of ecolabeled projects, the use of waste tracking form or recycling of material. The CSR approach also includes taking into account internal stakeholders such as service agents, and the social aspect is also an important point for the award of contracts. ISO and AFAC certifications are a real factor of differentiation and credibility in the eyes of customers. Finally, the personnel management is very important because as a service agent, they are the ones who ensure the quality of the services. In addition, in low-margin public procurement, the organization and management of human resources are important labor for optimization. In addition, public contracts require integration hours for people in difficulty, as service agents are poorly qualified and often work short hours. It's difficult to retain them in order to increase their skills. Now the problematic. Across this analysis, we can say that the markets are very competitive and margins on public contracts are really low, although they represent the majority of service turnover. In service markets where margins are really low, good management can be a lever for market optimization. In addition, the development of the CSR approach in the sector requires services to take into account the stakeholders. The optimization of staff on public contracts and one of the only performance lever and the CSR approach for service to adopt a different approach toward its employees. That's why we're going to ask ourselves the question how caring can increase employee performance. So, first we will define the term. So, what is caring? According to Bruno Boussuge, a specialist consultant, tells us that la bienveillance est une disposition d'esprit favorable vis-à-vis de quelqu'un qui se traduit par une attitude positive, concrète à son égard. Ramenée au management, elle pourrait exprimer le soin qu'un manager aurait à s'occuper du développement professionnel et personnel des collaborateurs sous sa responsabilité. Now we will see the definition of employee performance according to the two authors of Employee Performance at Workplace, Conceptual Model and Empirical Validation. They say, the term employee performance means individuals' work achievements after exerting required effort on the job with is associated to getting a meaningful work, engaged profile, and compassionate colleagues employer around. Now that we have defined the term precisely thanks to the author, we will approach benevolent management, its relevant to the new generation. According to Philippe Gaudet, co-author of the book Le Management Bienveillant, the future lies in benevolent management, which is seen as a real lever for performance. According to him, this type of management creates a higher rate of team commitment, a sense of justice, and above all, envy. A study published in the article Toward the New Trend of Managing People Through Benevolence proposed 3 axes of work within companies in order to set up a benevolence management. These 3 axes are benevolent approach of managing talents and high potential, benevolent approach for assessing skills and competencies, benevolent approach in HRM based. This axis clearly demonstrates the close link between benevolence and HRM. Concerning the new generation, they have a completely different relationship to authority, and B supervision may be an inappropriate solution. Indeed, in her book Generation Z from Z customer to Z collaborators, Elodie Gentina says Authority is based on coherence, benevolence, justice. If the master possesses this quality, he will be able to be an authority among the young. The term of statutory authority and relational authority in the book are very interesting because they reflect expectation of the manager in the benevolent management approach. Taking employee into account and ensuring their good development does not mean letting them do everything, but rather establishment and authority based on trust and good relations. Now we have seen the role of caring in CSR and the risk and limitation of this. What is the link between CSR and caring? According to the European Commission, CSR is the voluntary integration by companies of social concern related to their activity and their relation with all their partners and collaborators. We therefore find the notion of social concern and relationship that are the very basis of benevolence. Goodwill is therefore part of a more global CSR approach. However, these two practices cannot be implemented in a parallel and are closely linked. Indeed, companies are turning towards social responsibility and sustainable development. HRM practice must be aligned with CSR principles. Goodwill is therefore an integral part of CSR process. To conclude this literary review, we will address a very important point, the risk of integrating benevolence. Excuse me. The main risk revealed during my literary research are first, the difficulty in making important decisions for the manager. Indeed, in the event of demission, for example, it will be more difficult for the manager to fire employees with whom he has established benevolent and trustworthy relationship. Secondly, according to Jean-François Dortier, benevolence can only be applied when the company progresses and generates benefits. So it will be almost impossible to set up a benevolent management in a company in difficulty. Third, according to Julie Samper, benevolence can lead to certain laxity among teams that has a direct impact on the quality of services. Finally, benevolence is difficult to implement in large companies because of the hierarchic rigidity that complicates exchange and require a longer and hierarchical process. Now we will conclude. Will the integration of caring into the company's processes and fundamental value require major change, in particular a change of vision on how employees are taken into account? It's part of a global CSR approach that makes it possible to improve its performance. The quality of life at work makes it possible to increase the quality of work and therefore the quality of services. We were able to realize the first hypothesis according to which benevolence can be a lever of performance in the company from a theoretical point of view. A field study would show the reality of the benefits of integrating care in company. For the next year, I would like to interview managers and employees in the services market to see if the application of theoretical principles are able to highlight the effects and impacts on the company and employees in order to demonstrate whether or not the integration of caring can be a performance driver in the cleaning service market. Thank you for your listening. I hope you enjoy it.